in round 2 of this tournament. We have Wenwa Akinyi of Kenya. She is a physician in Kenya, and she's playing against Waseem Khatri of Pakistan, who very nearly won this tournament 2 years ago, made it to the finals. So we had a lengthy delay there. These players well behind pace of play. We're going to cut straight over to the board and get Scrabble underway to try to get this tournament caught up. But this should be an exciting matchup. Wenwa of Kenya, Wasim of Pakistan. How beautiful is it that we get players from all around the world competing at such a high level in this game?
Yeah. The international growth of this game has been well documented. Thailand has been a powerhouse for decades now. The best player in the world is from New Zealand. Obviously, the great British tradition in the UK, and so many other places around the world. I know we probably have plenty of people watching from Nigeria and other places in Africa as well. So even though it is in one language, it is truly an international game.
Yeah, Mike and I were talking about just the powerful presence of the Thai players as well, players from Thailand in the competitive Scrabble scene. We don't have an elite Thai player out there right now in the way that we used to have Pakorn and Penyupan dominate some of these North American tournaments, but there are still some very good Thai players. We watched Tacha last year. Wasim is one of many great players from Pakistan. And I know there have been visa issues coming over in the past for players from Pakistan, but I know several names that I've been looking forward to seeing were on the entrance list for this one. Hopefully everybody made it. Again, yesterday was the travel nightmare day, but very excited to watch international matchups here on North American soil, and very exciting to watch what Wenwa and Wasim can bring to the table. Wenwa drawing her first 7 tiles, and we are underway here. Round 2 of the SPC from South Bend, Indiana. DEM, the first 3. Ooh, that K, it's not going to synergize nicely with those, but we'll see what else is in the bag for Wenwa. DEE, IKM, and a T, the 7th tile. So she likely going to play either Miked, M-I-K-E-D, or Kited for 30. Either one of those makes a good amount of sense here, and wasting no time. She's got Kited set up. Looks like they forgot to hit the clock. They were reminded by the director, and we are underway here. You can see, and Wenwa's notes as well. She said vertical openings, which are a thing of controversy in competitive Scrabble. She said they feel very natural, and naturally coming to her as well. Kited for 30 points, the first play for Wenwa.
I mean, there's an argument for Mike, and no, I am not being biased in saying that. In that, Kited does leave an S hook open that Wenwa does not have, but keeping the M for scoring power is also entirely reasonable. Wasim was hoping that Wenwa would play him a G, but unfortunately she didn't have one.
Yeah, he's set up Bluffin on his rack looking for that G. He was unable to get it, and the floater's exposed, not what Wasim was looking for. Now he's put to the test. His standout option here is BUFFI to the I in Kited. It's a little bit of a word knowledge tech, but Wasim knows a good amount of words. I expect to see him pull the trigger on this eventually, given his track record and his pedigree. Other options, BIFFIN, a nice 6-letter word. You would love to play off the U if you can, but that's 28 points. Can't sneeze at that. FIB also plays either on the left or right side of Kited, and that's a pretty strong play in and of itself. BUFFEL, another option through the E in Kited. So there's some stuff for Wasim to do here. I think BUFFI is going to be his strongest option, but maybe we'll see a different play. Yeah, here comes Biff instead. Similar idea. 3 more points than BUFFI, but you're holding the U instead of the I. This play makes some sense too.
Yeah, and it's slightly more defensive, playing parallel as opposed to playing across and leaving floaters open.
But despite the defense for Wasim, a nice draw for Wenwa here, and she looks to bingo out of this rack. AEEIMNS. There's the common meanies, MEANIES, which plays with biffs for 81. But if you know its anagram, you have the option to play a little bit more defense. Nemesia, NEMESIA, is also 61. And there are two spots to score 61. I guess kited with the front S hook that Mike alluded to is also an option. Skited and meanies is 81. Biffs and meanies is 81. Biffs and Nemesia is 81. So just a question for Wenma of how she wants to shape the board in this game. How would you approach this turn, Mike?
I would probably be leaning toward. Let's see. Oh, we see meanies coming across parallel, sacrificing a few points.
No, this is also 81.
Oh,
wow. Wow, 5 overlaps. I didn't even notice this one, and I'm cheating with an anagrammer open. Nice spot from Wenwa here. Wow. Wow. All right.
yeah.
81 points.
Yeah, I was gonna say meanies and skited forms a nice defensive shape by forming that right angle that's hard to get past. But playing parallel and just closing off everything does the same thing but better. So very nice play from Lenoir.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's a play that a lot of players go a little bit too quick on and don't notice. But great job from Wenwa flexing on the stream. If you're going to draw a nice rack, you got to slam it shut. And this is perfect. Block off the board, score a lot of points. Great stuff. Wenwa leads 111 to 29. JLNOUU blank the poll for Wasim, and he's set up his only playable bingo of unjoyful. And I think we're going to see him pull the trigger on this one now. That's a word that feels a little strange to me. Like, yeah, I certainly see how this could be good, but I also see how my brain could make this one up. But with JUUO on your rack, if you think you've got a bingo, I think you need to pull the trigger on it. And this is a valid word from Wasim. Wow. This is deep, deep, deep in the list of words by probability with a J and 2 U's. To pull the trigger on this, that is a really impressive play of word knowledge or display of word knowledge from Wasim. And I don't know that the play is even on hold in 5-point challenge. I'd expect that to pick up a nickel a lot, but I guess Wenwa also confident that unjoyful is good. So a bingo and a bongo response. This is going to be an awesome game, I think. What's the post bingo draw for Wenwa? AEE, NRR, and another E. Yikes. A bunch of 1-pointers here, but she's shown the ability to find great overlapping plays, and she has the opportunity now to show us one more great overlapping play. She has a 5 overlap play out of this rack that is superb. I think I've let enough time for that one to simmer. The 5 overlap is the 5-letter Arene, ARENE. Makes MAERKAEINN and TIE. That is 32 points and holds ER. That is awesome. It's also easy to make a play like Jeer, JEER, for 22, holding the really powerful AENR combination. But given that the board is pretty tight for bingos, you don't want to get caught up holding AENR and trying to bingo next turn if you're Wenwa. I think if you spot Arene, it is so clearly the top play, but it's tough to spot those overlaps. We'll see what she's able to do. Big turn. Looks like rear going to be the decision here, and this makes a lot of sense too. You want to take away the opportunity for your opponent to underlap the unjoyful play and score the points of that J. Though I think she's seeing here, well, depending on what Wasim has, I may still be giving back big plays, JAW, JAY, JAB, all big threats. So I don't know if she's double counting this, maybe trying to hold this R. This is a really challenging turn for Wenwa, and she's wisely taken some time here.
If you see a Reen, the five overlap there, that is pretty clearly the play. And again, as we discussed last round, the if you're going to make a play that
all right,
opens
just
up,
EAR is what we see from Wenwa here. Play passes back to Wasim, and his post bingo draw is not very nice. A B C E W U Y, but Ear does give back potentially huge plays. That's what we said from Wenwa, and a potentially huge play here for Wasim. WYE plays beneath Wenwa's last three tile play and scores 53. It feels like it should be illegal to score 53 with just three tiles like that, but I think that's what we're going to see here from Wasim. Devastating swing of events for Wenwa.
it could, if you intent on saving the E, it could also just be yaw, forming J and aura for a few less points, but keeping a slightly improved leave. If there were a way
Yeah,
to if there were a way to get the U out of the way as well, that would be ideal, but it doesn't look like there's a good way of doing so.
yeah, there's not many good options to clean up this rack and crush the scoring opportunities. But hey, I don't care if I hold ABCU. That's it's not great, but if I can score 53, yeah, that's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep ABCU and score 53.
And any play that gets the W or Y underneath the JA is probably going to be close enough to correct.
A poor swing of events for Winwood too. You're gonna get hit by that J spot frequently, but Wasim has the W and the Y and the B to cash there. It's rather tough, but it happens. Wasim is really aggravating over this turn, though. I think he's trying to figure out the best possible play here, and you should. There's a lot of options. You have a lot of stuff that fits under these letters. But I'd be, really trying to get rid of the U-Y-W combination, get rid of as many of those as you can. To me, I think either W-Y-E or Y-A-W are about the only plays you want to make here. Wasim might be thinking about holding the Y for the M-Y spot at the top of this board, but I just think, get rid of it and try to keep your rack a little bit more flexible next turn. I think setting it up is not worth the sacrifice in this case.
Looks like he's going to go with Wob in that spot, which, yeah, given that the Y is a little bit more flexible of a tile than the B sometimes can be, it makes some sense as well. And again, all these plays score very similarly, so.
All right, WAB, the decision here for Wasim. I'll confess I'm not really seeing, I guess, the attempts to hold the Y for MY or maybe unjoyfully, but the Y seems to be pretty clunky with that CU combination. So I'd put a little exclamation point next to this one as one, maybe a misplay. But in any case, back to Wenwa. She now trails by 11 points, 132 to 143. AEENPRV, the rack for her. And there aren't going to be great options for her on this turn. She does have ways to unclutter this rack. Pave or Paver or Paven plays beneath Unjoyful. I think I'd opt to play just Pave and set up both my R and the N. She's also got a double-double available through the IN. Higher up on this board, Perinea, Perinea, is 36 and holds NV. Mike, do you think Pavin, or would you pull the trigger on a double here?
My style would be to, be more aggressive and set things up for, with as you mentioned, Pave setting up the N or the R hook. But given her Wenwa's choices of meanies making the parallels and ear making parallels, it seems she might be committed to a more defensive style in this game.
Yeah, perhaps that's what he's opting for.
Apologies for the brief technical difficulties there.
All right, so Pave is indeed what Wenwa is playing. I think she's holding her head, looking at N or R. We've lost our video feed, so I'm looking at a 20-second tape delay on Twitch right now trying to do commentary. I'll do my best. We're trying to get technical difficulties resolved. Pave, and she's hit the clock. I like this. Set up the N, set up the R. But Wasim looks like he's got Eustacy on his rack and has now been given a spot to play it. Acestui is indeed Eustacy. Eustacy and Paves now the play. This is 92 points. Huge swing in this game. And Win was going to want to find a counter bingo after getting thwacked hard. Look at me. I was saying Ceuy looks like a terrible leave. And then look at Wasim saying, I'll take your terrible leave and score 92 points. All right. Well, that's why they pay me the big bucks, to put the commentator hex on people, I guess. All right. AEINPRY, the rack for Wenwa, which is not what she was hoping for. The Y is going to help her score points in the top right side of this board with the MY triple letter spot, but she was really hoping to pull a bingo this turn after her nice setup, and instead she's only going to be able to score about 30 points. Big swing, tough swing. I think PYA, PYRE, PYNE, all of those are options that play alongside the right side of meanies that are all going to score in the 30 to 40 point neighborhood. Can't feel bad about playing one of those.
No, all of those options look fine. It would be nice to be able to somehow interfere with the triple line, but again, the time to leave things open is when opponent's rack is random.
Yes, correct. So perhaps time to take a shot here. This is Wenwa's first game of the tournament as well. She had a first round bye. There's an odd number of players, and that's just how it shook out. So this is her very first game of the tournament, despite it being round 2. That makes it even more impressive that she just comes down and drops this 5 overlap bingo on turn 2. No cobwebs, just crushing. And here's crushing again, PYA holding the really powerful EINR leave with multiple bingo lines available. Again, this is all you're going to have to do if you're Wenwa. 33 points and a great lead.
And Wasim has quickly plays uphold down to the triple, which is the sort of play that's really easy to see in hindsight when you analyze your games afterwards. It's like, oh, why didn't I just play that? But in the moment, it can be difficult to look at those, to see that as an option for scoring really well in this case. Looks like 48 to me.
Yeah, 48 points. And that's one of those turns you have to find it. It is so much better than anything else you have. And if you don't find it, you can quickly roll into some trouble. So these are the plays that you have to make at the top level of Scrabble to stay at the top level of Scrabble. And Wasim wasting no time finding the incredible option, uphold. And he is now ahead by nearly 100 points. And Wenwa's expedition to find a bingo into EINR went poorly, as she's pulled another E, another N, and an L. This does not look ideal for her. She still has ways to keep this board open to score some points, but she's going to have to blow up the rack a bit to do that. I think playing from the P and Pia with something like Pinner or Penile or Pinene makes sense. There's also the opportunity to play Myelin, Myelin, from the My, and that takes a back E as well. So that would set her up, create a really dynamic board situation. Uh, there's some fun choices here for her, but this is a crucial turn. And before I can ask you what you would do, Mike, it looks like Wenwa's going to show us what she's going to do.
I would lean toward Myelin, but looks like she's preferring to take out the triple directly with. It's looking like Pinene. Yeah, if I or Pinner. Uh, yeah, I think I prefer that to either of the other options. The EL seems to work together better than the. Let's see, it would be NR after penile or LR after pinene, and neither of those are particularly synergistic. Keeping the E is likely to be most fruitful.
I like putting the R on that top triple word score as well. You need to keep this board as alive as you can, given you've fallen behind. And I think bingoing from the R is much more likely than bingoing from an E. So you want to put the R there. You've got a dangerous D down on the bottom center triple. So you just want these lines to be as volatile as possible and as hittable as possible as you face a deficit. Really like that decision from Wenwa. I also like this decision from Wasim. Don't have a lot of options here. So you want to play fast. You want to try to shut down some lines and build the board so that you can shut down several more lines in the immediate future. Ruth, the play from Wasim, puts him ahead 304 to 216. And we're back to Wenwa, who took a shot, played Pinner, needs to find a bingo, and instead found CG, which is not a good combination together. That is rough for her, and she's got to work through another clunky rack. Looks like she is playing YOLD. And yeah, that looks like what you want to do here. Put the D out in space, just make another high scoring bingo line and try to catch up. Could have executed this plan slightly better, I think, because this play holds CG together. Just terrible anti synergy between those two letters. Maybe GYELD in the same spot to break up that combination is an option. But holding the G to hit 9-letter bingos through the IN in the middle of the board also makes a lot of sense here. G's a decent tile to try to get back into this game. Wenwa's made her play. She's now down 240 to 304, and we're back to Wasim, DIILNRT. And he's got to feel, okay, now there's 3 enormous bingo lines on this board, down from the R in Pinner, down to the D in Yold, and over to the D in Uphold. He can decide to block 2 of those with a little 2-tile play from the T and Ruth, something like TIN, TIT, TID. All of those make sense, but just playing 2 tiles, holding 4 consonants might go south for him. So he gets to make the decision of, do I just play big and score points and leave the board wide open, or do I try to control things and shape the board in my direction? How would you approach this turn, Mike?
Yeah, this board feels almost too wide open to be worth trying to immediately shut down. It almost seems, given that you don't have good scoring plays and you don't have a good way to shut many things down, it almost feels worth it to try to outrun, to try and just keep scoring points and try to hold on to the 60-point lead by scoring more points. But it also doesn't. There isn't also really a good way to do that. So he's going to play Nitrile here, I suppose, gunning for the S's and the blank and the Z and the X in the bag and trying to draw those scoring tiles before what Wenwa does.
Yeah, this makes sense. Just get rid of all of this stuff. Accelerate towards the end of the game. I know that's a controversial take or opinion. Some people love doing that. Some people hate doing that. Do I play off a lot of tiles when I'm ahead just to try to get the game over with faster? I'm not going to start that debate here. I'll let you fight over it in the chat, everybody. But Wasim going digging in the bag and finding not what he was looking for. VWMD, yikes. All right, Wasim's going to have an interesting turn once again next move. I think probably the best move for Wasim there is maybe unlid, UNLID, down from the U and unjoyful. That addresses the D and uphold. Knowing he can obstruct the R and the D next turn with the 2-tile play from the T, I think that's probably the approach to shape the board the way you want. But this play makes a ton of sense too, especially if you reach in the bag and draw good stuff. But Wasim has drawn bad stuff instead, and we'll have an interesting game. Back to Wenwa, CEEGIRT is her rack, and she really needs to pull a bingo soon. She would love to open this board up if she can, and I'm just not seeing any enticing ways to unlock the top left side of this board. Anything jumping out to you, Mike?
The only thing I'm seeing is something like Jeremy into the MY on the top on row 2. That's not a great set of lines. It would be the just the A
right,
above.
I'm not hearing Mike come through. We've had audio issues, we've had video issues, we're having all kinds of issues here, but it seems like we lost Mike for a minute, so I will try to guide us through this turn once again. 30 points available for Wenwa at the bottom of this board. Tiercel, Tiercel, is 30. She could just try to score some points or not. Oh my god, I cut off Mike. Everybody could hear Mike except me. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to stop talking for a minute. Mike, you take it away. I can't hear you.
Testing.
Mike, is that you?
Yeah, testing.
Okay, nice. I think we got it back. All right. Well, sorry for that. We broke everything, but we are back. TEC, the play that we're seeing from Wenwa here, holding the nice tiger leave, but she's going to need to draw a bingo that does not get blocked next turn.
And as I was trying to say before, my audio decided to disappear. I would have preferred something like Jeremy into the MY, but that's not a great set of lines, but it is at least something else that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, Jeremy. Ooh, I like that option more and more. And even if you do get stacked on top, that opens up a line underneath. So yeah, that could have been a cool way to breathe some life into this board. But if you're going to reach into the bag and draw II into the I you already have, you're probably not going to win no matter how you try to set yourself up. That's a yikes. Bad draw for Wenwa.
Oh, okay. It appears Wasim is playing Volt to take out the bottom set of lines.
Makes a ton of sense. That's the only bingo line that scares me at all. If Wenwa hits a 62-point bingo through the C in tech, fine, you can have that. I love this decision by Wasim to take control of the board.
And Wenwa drawing 2 eyes to, keep company the one she already had on her rack.
Yeah, it is crunch time for her now. This was about the worst thing that could have happened, and yeah, she's just got to jettison these eyes. She's found rigid to this D. Not much else you can do. Maybe TITI and truth is a sneaky option in there, but at this point, the board has so little opportunity left, and your rack is so poor after that abysmal draw. I think you just kind of roll over in this one.
And Wasim now with the Q and the X on his rack, which he can score some decent points with the X. And on this board, you're kind of okay with that. You'd rather just, again, keep your 70-point lead by scoring 30 a turn and counting on your opponent not bingoing multiple times, which on this board is going to be really difficult to do.
Yeah, man, Wasim is Gambit to go into the bag and find tiles. Well, he certainly found some tiles. QWOX all together. That is wild. I think this is a great idea. The Q is the way you lose this game. Something terrible happens and then you accidentally eat it. So just get rid of it right now. I think that's fine. It's going to give you the flexibility you need to make sure you navigate this one to a victory. Another good choice here from Wasim.
Well, Wenwa now with multiple vowels on her rack. I'm kind of liking Rumi in the same spot as Jeremy earlier. You just want to somehow throw another set of lines open, give Wasim something else to think about here.
Yeah, Rumi looks like about the only option in. And even after a play like Rumi, you have to think you're going to get just thwacked on top so often. But Winwa's chances are really evaporating as she's pulled double I's and then double O's as she tries to hit a late game bingo. Chat suggesting she fish for astronomy. I love that idea. Very good night scrabbler or something similar like that. See if you can fish to a or for a 9 to the MY maybe, but opportunities really drying up here. There's going to be IO and Volti. Yep, that's about all you got in this situation. DMOSXWG is the rack for Wasim now. These are those racks where I've probably never drawn this before in my life because they're so awkward together. But he'll be able to navigate through. There's enough scoring on this board, and there's no bingo threats now that he has to worry about. He can just kind of guide this one to a victory. What did he do there? He just fished the G?
Yeah, apparently
just fished the G. Okay, blocking the final remaining line is what it looks like.
This feels a little
people can't be messaging me when I'm streaming. Everybody is trying to update me about their games, and it's like, guys, that's awesome, but I am doing my job and commentating right now, so trying to mute all those buttons. Sorry from everybody. We're about that. All right, back to the action. Wenwa 277 to 354 is her deficit now. AEENORT is her rack, and it's tough. There are no opportunities to bingo left on the board. Wasim is putting on a defensive clinic. And now that you finally got your rack in bingo range, there's no opportunity left for Wenwa here.
Looks like Oat is the play, just clearing out the worst of the tiles off her rack. Which, again, I'd be looking more to keep, long shots like 9s through the R and the C open. And looks like she's reconsidering here. And realizing that the option she had in mind doesn't quite work the way she wants it to. And again, people mentioned the trying to bingo into the MY or bingo into the maybe the NE of in the bottom left, but again, these are long shots that when they happen, they make for great stories, but there's a reason that's the case, is that they don't happen very often.
But that's the difference, I think, between the very, very top players and everybody else is they're able to find the 1, 2, 3% long shot Hail Marys to throw out in situations where other people just kind of roll over and take the L. So, you know, these opportunities always exist. Will Anderson has a great series of videos on tales from the 1%, where you're 1% or less to win a game, and you find that crazy path to victory. So, fun stuff to think about. But at this point, yeah, Win was basically done in this one.
And part of Wen was thinking there might have been that, where she played EAN was a decent spot for the X, and realizing that she couldn't afford to have Wasim get 40 points for the X. She wanted to, if she did somehow draw a bingo that, played on this board, that, you know, she needed to make sure she stayed within range. And so, not sure what Wasim is thinking here. He's drawn another S, which I would be looking at just scoring some points with something like Wax through the A of Eustacy, or maybe Moe's hooking Jaws, which looks like is what he's going for. And setting up another spot for his X, assuming he draws a vowel.
And yeah, set up the X and leave one in the bag is also something you'd really like to do right now, just in case there's like some ridiculous 9 down to the NE or to the MY. Like, you want to make sure you don't get bingoed out on holding the X on your rack. Mose does everything Wasim is looking to do here. And he's actually going to reach into this bag and draw the blank and be even more surprised. Or maybe he left it in the bag. 80% shot that he pulls it here, though. There it is.
When kind of raising the white flag, not trying to fish off one tile for some miracle, and just cashing in the Z for 40-something points here.
Yeah, you could fish and draw the last tile out of the bag, but unless you see a bingo that you can draw down to the NE, like whatever, just score your points and get it over with. Oh boy. Wasim, I think, has the ability to set himself up now with the X. He's got the blank. He can play the X beneath the O in Moe's and set up OXO or Oxy backhooks that Wen was unable to address. I think if he plays EXO beneath Moe's, then he's going to set up some massive scores for himself. Soda or something like that.
And Wasim could just play one tile on the bottom left triple in response, but
yeah, she would need to. EXO sets up DOSA underneath. EXO sets up DOSA as the final play. Wasim looks like he's looking through a similar sequence, just AXE first, set up the O, and then figure out what to do. Wen was doing her tracking right now, and the longer Wasim takes, the higher the odds are that she's figured out his rack and will thwart the setup play. But still, the opportunity to do it and the fact that he's going to sit here and milk extra points out of these end games, this is championship caliber stuff from a guy who's nearly won this championship before.
And in a 31 game tournament, frequently you're going to end up in a situation, if you're near the top, where you end up placed is determined by your point spread, and every point matters. It is worth taking the extra effort to grind out these end games and maximize the points, because you might need them further down the road.
Yeah, I think everybody has that story of the time where they, ended up losing a tournament or losing additional prize money because they had 8 fewer spread points or 3 fewer spread points than somebody else. And after you have one of those stories, you're always going to sit here and take the extra time. You never want to lose a tournament that way again, especially in just round 2 of a 31 gamer. Yeah, this is great. Wasim's got some goodies, and he wants to make sure he sets this up as devastatingly as possible. I've got an engine in front of me that tells me that EXO is the best sequence. Wasim has just had to sit there and figure this out with his brain over the last 2 minutes, and he's done it. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Is it worth it for Wenwa to block?
It is 100%. Yeah, Dosa is 47 and out, so you have to take that away if you're Wenwa and force Wasim to play out elsewhere. Dosa also plays to the left side of Rigid, but that's just 14 as opposed to 47.
Yeah.
Wenwa needs to block if she's got it all tracked right. That was really impressive. That was really impressive from Wasim. Unjoyful dropping a 40,000 probability bingo down early in this game, taking control of the board, and then setting up this awesome end game sequence. This is really, really high level technical Scrabble from Wasim. Hats off to him.
As we mentioned, he's played in this tournament before, made the finals before, and if he's going to be playing like that, there's no reason to think he won't be in contention to do so again.
Absolutely no reason. I would not. Yeah, I mean, this was a great performance from him so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see plenty more from him. Wenwa is going to go ahead and play Get up at the top. Maybe she hasn't tracked this one right, or maybe she's just not going to spend the mental energy here. But she's going to end up allowing Wasim the 47-point Dosa, which he set himself up for. This is why you take these shots. This is why you take the time in Wasim's situation and set it up. And he's going to get an even bigger reward as a result.
And I will say it is also a lot easier to grind out these end games when you know you're going to win the game. When you realize you've lost, it can be a whole lot more difficult to want to expend the energy. You kind of just want to be over and done with.
Yes, yeah, and you can often pick up points off opponents who are deflated. They may not take the time on that end game, and if you can set the trap like this or make the setup like this, then you can pounce and pick up some extra points. Wasim's done just that. You see Wenwa shake her head a little bit too. I think she had just had it mistracked. We saw her tapping on the board looking at different tiles earlier, so I think just a mistrack there and seeds the Dosa outplay. The final in this one, after all of that, 487 to 356. But a great display from both of these players. The 5 overlap bingo early for Wenwa, but unjoyful Eustacy, and then a beautiful setup at the end of this game. Wasim just on fire in this one. Another good one to watch. Another great display of Scrabble that we've seen. Well played, Wasim.